Hello and welcome back to another Walking Dead video, and today I'll be talking about the top 10 best villains in the entire Walking Dead franchise. I'll be looking at all 7 shows that we currently have and picking out my favourite and the best of the best. So let's jump right into this with number 10, and it is Lance. And he is such a great villain just because of how different he is. He is not big, he is not threatening, he is a normal looking guy that we can see is capable, but what makes him such a great villain is that he is very charismatic, very manipulative and very smart. And he is the embodiment of the Commonwealth, which is absolutely amazing. He's such a great villain for the final season. The only issue is he died way too early. He should have been the big bad, not switch it to Pamela for the final few episodes. They shouldn't have Walter Whited him. And I'm just so impressed how they made such a great character from a character that's barely in the comics. He's in a couple scenes here and there, a couple issues, but that's about it. The focus is on Pamela in the books, but in the show, they're like, okay, we're going to blow this character up, make him front and center. And it is just absolutely amazing. Now, number 9 is Jadis Stokes. Not Jadis from The Walking Dead, Jadis from The World Beyond and The Ones Who Live. That version of Jadis is so interesting. She is such a complex character. She is also a really smart villain. I really enjoy her in World Beyond. In those final few episodes, when she comes in, she is very smart. Like, everyone's trying to escape. She's like, okay, lockdown, we're going to go room by room. She is a very smart villain. She doesn't do what a lot of villains does and does a stupid decision so that the good guys can win. She is a very interesting character. There are just multiple layers, and just like Lance, Jadis feels like the embodiment of the CRM. You see Jadis and you think the CRM. She is just such a great villain, and it's so drastic how different it is from Jadis with the CRM to being one of my favourite villains, to Jadis with the garbage people to being one of my least favourite characters in the entire franchise. It is absolutely shocking how much they fix this character, and I just see him as 2 different characters. So I'm going to say Jadis Stokes, which is CRM version of Jadis, is definitely my number 9 spot. Number 8 is Troy Otto, and he's not going to be any higher just because of Season 8 has ruined him, but Troy Otto from Season 3, absolutely phenomenal. He is Fear the Walking Dead's version of Shane, and it works. He is this anti-hero, he is this very broken character. He's clearly a villain, but you absolutely grow to love this character by the end of the season, to where he's one of the most favourite characters in the entire franchise for Fear the Walking Dead. That shows how great of a villain he is when people can look past his blatant racism, his mass murdering tendencies to be like, he's my favourite character. That shows how great he is. He is a very complex villain, and he is one of my most favourite characters, so he deserves to be in the top 10 villain list. Number 7 is Beta, and by far he is the scariest villain we've had in the franchise. He is more just a brute, and he is not as smart as any others. He is a very kind of brute force go in and just knock you out. He's a very broken character, and what makes him so great is the alpha-beta relationship. I just can't put him any higher just because, in a way, he's an extension of Alpha. He doesn't really do anything by himself. Without Alpha, Beta is just this big, menacing character. But he is still super cool, so he has to be on this list. Number 6 is Teddy, and he actually is one of the shortest villains in the Walking Dead franchise. He only had 5 or 6 episodes. However, that made him immediately the best villain in Fear the Walking Dead. He is also the most evil villain in the franchise. Every other character is broken or something made them evil. Teddy was just evil. He was a serial killer before the fall, and he even killed his own mum. And then he came out and became a cultist and tried to blow up America. And he also managed to blow up the South of America. This villain is so iconic, so great. It's a shame he was only in a couple episodes. He should have been in Season 7, in my opinion, the big bad of Season 7. But no, he was cut short. And even if he was in Season 7, he probably would have been even higher, because he's such an iconic character. He's the best villain in Fear. And he deserves to be on this list, because he's one of my most favourite villains. And he is easily one of my most favourite characters from Fear the Walking Dead. So, number 6 is Teddy. Now, number 5 is Negan. It might be controversial only having number 5. However, he is definitely a better anti-hero than villain. They definitely did neuter Negan in 7 and 8, because they didn't want to fully commit to him being a villain. That's why they created Simon, so he could do all the villainous acts, so Negan can be kind of, I'm a broken guy, but I'm like the leader of these bad guys, but I can turn good if you put pressure on me. But Even with them taking away Negan's more villainous acts, he is still an absolutely fantastic villain. It is the charisma of Jeffrey D. Morgan that makes him such a great villain, makes him so likable after he killed off Abraham and Glenn. He's a very pantomime-y villain, and he's a very comedic villain. And that's what makes him so great, because he's very different to the others that are all very serious, and they're very scary. Negan is just there to go around and have jokes, and that's what makes him such a cool villain. I really enjoy Negan as a villain, and I really hope they do more with Negan as a villain in Dead City. However, he is nothing compared to his comic book counterpart, just because they removed all those edgier aspects of Negan to neuter him and water him down for the show, and it does ruin him slightly, because in the comics he's this iconic character that swears all the time and does all these acts, and then in the show he doesn't really swear, and it's all Simon that does that stuff. He is still the most iconic villain in The Walking Dead. However, that does not mean he's the best villain in The Walking Dead. He is the most iconic, but not the best. Now, moving on to number 4, and it is Simon. And Simon is basically all the worst attributes of Negan. Negan is just a softer Simon. And Simon is just completely deranged, and that makes him so fun to watch. He's a proper villain. You actually are meant to dislike this character. He is just so amazing, and they got the perfect actor to play him. They got Stephen Ogg play Simon phenomenally. I really enjoy Simon, and I do understand why they created him for the show, so that it'd be easier for us to forgive Negan, but it does ruin Negan a little. But then we get this amazing character of Simon, and I also think he is one of the few pure evil villains. A lot of villains like Negan are broken, but Simon was just pure evil, so he does deserve to be in the top 4. Now, number 3 is Shane, and he is the template that a lot of villains try to copy. He is a character that descends into madness. He is such a perfect villain for Rick. And then you find out, really, he wasn't really a villain. A lot of people even argue that Shane isn't a villain. He was just more developed. He was more ready for this world, and the other survivors just weren't ready enough, so they saw him as a villain. And Rick does even worse acts than Shane ever did. Shane was just ahead of his time for a character. He's such a complex character. And what makes him so great is that they had John Berthal, phenomenal actor, play Shane, absolutely amazing. He had great chemistry with Andrew Lincoln as Rick Grimes, so you really felt their like kind of brotherly love descend into pure hatred. It is just absolutely amazing. He is a character that if Shane never happened, none of the survivors would have survived. Shane hardened that group to be able to take on this world, and without him playing that role and being the villain they needed, there would be no Rick Grimes. He would never have made it to the prison. He would have died just after that farm. Shane got everyone ready for this world, so he deserves to be number 3. Now, number 2 is Alpha. And a lot of people might put Shane above Alpha, but for me personally, I really enjoy Alpha, and it is the pure animalistic and derangedness of Alpha. But then they try and tie it into, this is all her trying to protect her daughter. There's a bit of humanity within Alpha still, and that's what makes her such an entertaining character. She's either one of the most powerful characters just because she can control Beta. Even after her death, he still bends to her will, and she has a massive army of walkers, and she has a cult of whisperers. She has one of the most unique groups. She is this very evil character. I really enjoy her. The whole theme song and the whole kind of theme around the whisperers is absolutely amazing. I really enjoy the Whisperers, and she's one of the few villains that actually died at the right time. I think a lot of villains maybe outstayed their welcome a little too much, or did this and that, which annoyed me. But then Alpha died at the perfect time. She is a great villain. She is this great kind of antagonist, and she is one of the things that saved The Walking Dead, in my opinion. After Negan and the Saviors ruined it, you had Season 9, and the Whisperers saved the franchise for a couple more years. So Alpha deserves to be number 2. I may be very biased because I really enjoy Season 9 and 10, but Alpha, she's my number 2. Now, number 1 is the Governor, and there is no kind of competition. Every other villain is kind of second class to the Governor. He is this very complex, very nuanced character, and he is the embodiment of unlimited power corrupts unlimitedly, and that what makes him so great. Even in Season 4, he kills somebody to become leader, but he's like, I don't want this. He's doing this because he feels like he has to protect them, and he has this kind of I have to do this. Even though he doesn't want to he steps up to the plate. However, he just kind of goes about it wrong. That's what makes him so great. He is a very charismatic, entertaining character, and he is broken. He is not pure evil. He was made into this, and that's why he is my favourite character. Every other character tries to copy either the template for Shane, as we've seen in Fear the Walking Dead with Chris and Troy, or the template with the governor to be like, we're going to make a villain like this. Those are the two templates, and I just always prefer the governor template because it's just so iconic. He is such a great villain, and he is my number one, my favourite villain in the entire franchise. So please tell me down below, what is your list? Who are your top 10 favourite characters, or favourite villains, should I say, for the Walking Dead franchise? Who are your top 10 worst? I'd like to know your worst villains of this franchise. But this is it for me today, so goodbye, peace out, and I'll talk to you later.